Dale Larson here, and I'm at the photo booth with this week's mail. Up first are Patrick and his son Seth from Warrens, Wisconsin. Regular watchers of the show sent in a few things from their collection that they thought I might be interested in. They were correct. We have these guys up here in the front row. We've got some tiny, I don't know if these are Mega Blocks. I probably should have checked before I started rolling camera. But tiny Ninja Turtles, not the standard colors of the Turtles, obviously. I don't know what this one is, if it's just sort of like a variant all black with the Leonardo blue. But then over here we've got Donatello, Shredder, and Raphael in gorgeous candy clear, translucent colors. This one, you know what, both of them, the Raph and the Donatello, are really, really... Hang on. There we go. Those are really working for me. I think the translucent thing is something you either get it or you don't, and I can't convince you to like it if you don't already. It's something that I love, and I'll be honest, it's not something that I've always collected. It's something that more recently came at me as far as a thing that I just couldn't get enough of, and I think it started with figures that I already had that I liked that happened to come in translucent versions. And you use it for, like, you get Master Chief over here in his active stealth camo. They use it for effect, but the only effect I need is that I just like the clear figures now. I don't know. I can't explain it. But anyway, Patrick and Seth also sent in the tiny, tiny little translucent Magneto and Cyclops there as well. I think I have a couple other characters that may have been sent in as well, not too long ago. But I love these because they scale perfectly as action figures for other action figures. Like, I could cut the bases off of these, and then they'd be in scale for Boba Fett. They'd be like, 12 or 16-inch figures for Boba Fett, or they'd be like 3 3/4-inch figures for a 6-inch action figure. So I love that tiny stuff as well. But big thanks to Patrick and Seth for those items. Brian from Indianapolis, Indiana, sent in a tiny, I'm going to say tiny, but it's like, it's like a 4 or 5-inch figure. The tiny Masked Rider. This is the box he came in. Just in case you're curious as to what the line actually is. It's from Bandai. It's number 2, Shoto X. I don't know. All I know is this thing is super amazingly awesome. He's incredibly posable. More articulation, at least the same amount of articulation as like a Marvel Legends or a comparable, like a 25th anniversary G.I. Joe figure. Just super articulated, great paint, and he's actually got alternate hands. So he's got open hands, he's got the karate chop hands, and he's got fist hands as well. And I think this is a piece of gum maybe that came in the box. I don't know how that works. But Masked Rider 2, not my favorite version, not my least favorite version. Definitely in my top 10 riders. I don't know anything about anything that's come out in the last 25 years. Most of the riders that I'm familiar with are from a long time ago. But obviously I see the designs and stuff of the newer things on Instagram, and I don't know what to do with them because they are crazy designs. But Masked Rider 2 here. The good thing about this is it's dated 2018. Bandai 2018. So hopefully that means that this is new and that this is something that is not that expensive, and B, something that I'll be able to track down because I love this thing. This thing is fantastic, and what I need Super 1 because that's the first rider I ever saw. So Super 1 is my rider, and I just love everything about this. Brian, thank you very much. That was a great surprise, and I'm already in love with this thing. It is fantastic. Next up is Aiden from Bordentown, New Jersey. About a month ago, Aiden was at New York Comic-Con and found a vintage Kenner Boba Fett all by himself and knew that it needed to be in the Boba Sett, and that's where it is now. Number 403. Also, this one's, before I move on here, let's just appreciate the paint on this thing, the loss of the blue on the jetpack, the scratched up green, just the way I like them. Pretty good joints, too, all together. But Aiden also sent in the M&M Fett, who I am not army building, so don't bother, folks. But no offense to Aiden, but what I want to make sure is that if my mom sees this, she needs to know that I have this now, so you don't need to send me another one because this is totally the kind of thing that she would send to me. But very, very, very appreciative. as you know, when it comes to the Boba Fett, there's nothing that I love more. So thank you very much for putting us at 403 in that collection, Aiden. After that, we're going to move on to Casey from Hoffman Estates, Illinois. Producer Greg and I actually ran into Casey outside of HasCon last year. Casey sent in the previously mentioned... Guys, I got to slide some of you folks out of the way here. Got the active camo. This is actually a Mega Bloks piece as well. Active camo Master Chief from Halo. He's held together with magnets, which is neat. You know, there's sort of like a building aspect to this. It is a bit of an older figure, so some of these... And this was new. This was when I opened the box from Casey. This was still in the package. And I think it was a limited edition, but you should know by now, you send me stuff that's in the box. Ignore this stuff in the background. It's getting opened. You send me stuff in the box, I'm going to open it because I'm an opener and that's how I roll. But this piece, I like it. He's got some detachable armor and stuff. The joints can be a little wonky because they are magnetic, so they're not like super tight. He has a little bit of a bobbleheady kind of thing going. But I dig the translucent so much. You know, there is that sort of tendency to, it looks like ice. You can lose some of the details. It's hard to sort of make them out, but they're there, and I dig it. And thank you very much for that, Casey. This was one of those pieces that I didn't know it existed. If I had seen it in a shop, I probably would have grabbed it. But having no previous knowledge of it, it was a really cool piece to find in the box and to add to that ever-growing translucent collection. Wayne from Sukasuna, I don't know how it's pronounced, New Jersey, sent in the 2000X He-Man and Skeletor. Excuse me, Boba. Excuse me, Eminem Boba. We got the 2000X. I'm a big fan of this line, always have been. I always like the designs from the Four Horsemen. Four Horsemen? Definitely on Skeletor, definitely on Trapjaw, definitely on Clawful, Buzzoff. Not so much on He-Man. He-Man was the real big letdown for me. In fact, there's an issue of Toy Fair magazine that I appear on the letters page for, writing in to address the fact that I thought He-Man looked like Kato Kalin. If that name doesn't mean anything to you, I'm not going to bother explaining it right now. But that's the only thing I ever got published in a letters column like that. It's the only thing I wrote into, so I'm 1 for 1. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was weird to have the villains be so much more appealing to me than the heroes. And this isn't, I mean, I guess this is kind of his sword and it puts together and whatever. But Wayne also sent in the Ring Wraith back here, which I think is Toy Biz, if I'm not mistaken. The Lord of the Rings figures were really nice. Great detail, great sculpt, great paint. Great job leaving out the head because he doesn't have one. But they would sort of get stuck on this idea of like having to keep specific poses. And that's what's going on here. This was that sort of pose where they were all like advancing with their swords out. And these figures actually had like action features. Uh-oh, this video is going to get demonetized. No sword. And then, you know, so you lose some of the detail and the posability that way. Like this arm still works, but this one, you just can't do much with it other than that stabbing motion. Also in that package from Wayne was, excuse me, Ring Wraith. We had the partially translucent Mr. Freeze, which, I mean, if my camera would focus, there we go. This design is not my favorite Mr. Freeze, but as far as action figures go, especially because he's mostly translucent, I dig it. This is in that weird era. I'll bet the, was it Total Justice, Extreme Justice, Justice Unleashed, something like that. Those figures that were like super ripped and sinewy. This was probably about the same time as that. This has that sort of feel to it, but it's cool and I dig translucent. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. Also from Wayne was the tiny Micro Machines X-Ray version of Slave 1, which definitely is, I definitely qualifies for translucent collection. There's a line, we haven't covered it yet, and it's something we'll probably cover as an oddity here at some point in the near future. There was a line called Shadow Strikers during the 80s. I think it was Kenner. It was similar to Mask as far as like scale and whatever goes. But the whole gimmick with the vehicles was that they were all like this. They all were like invisible, stealth. So everything about it was, you could still see some of the mechanisms and stuff inside, but the surface of it was all translucent, clear plastic like this. And that's what this piece reminds me of. And yeah, for all the Fett stuff I have, I don't think I actually had one of these. So that is cool. Also from Wayne are all these Sentinel diorama pieces here. Excuse me, blot. And I think this is all of them. These are from back in 2003 or 2004, back when Toy Biz was doing Marvel Legends, before Build-A-Figures were a thing. You got the bunch of dioramas, and these all happen to just sort of play together where it, you essentially, once you had them all, you kind of had a destroyed Sentinel lying on the ground. And I got to tell you from experience that at the time, I thought this was as close as we would ever get to actually having any kind of a Sentinel figure at all. So it would be like, I think the next year, 2005 or 2006, that the Sentinel Build-A-Figure wave actually came out. And made us all look like fools. Happy fools, but fools for doubting. So thank you very much to Wayne for sending all that stuff in. And I got to backtrack for a second because I forgot to address this little lady who I have to admit, I don't know what she's from. This was also from Patrick and Seth. They sent in the Turtles and the tiny little Magneto and Cyclops. I don't know what this is from. I'm going to assume Ben 10, but I don't actually know for sure. And I'm not seeing a... Oh, maybe there is a... Yeah, I can't really see the marking on it. So if you know what this is from, anybody wants to tell me in the comments who she is and what line she's from. She is a fantastic piece. I love it. She's gorgeous. But I don't know what she's from, so let me know in the comments down below where she came from. Skipping back to Ryan, who I met at RetroCon in New Jersey back in October. Ryan knew, who was actually, a couple of things he gave me. There was a couple of Amiibo figures, a Pac-Man and a Sonic the Hedgehog in a video from the RetroCon, I don't know, two booth videos ago, maybe 3. But he knew I had missed out on the Usagi Yojimbo and was nice enough, again, to send it in the package. But I already opened it, so sorry about that. But I love Usagi, and he was one of the only... I didn't have all the old Ninja Turtle figures, the vintage ones, but I absolutely had Usagi. And this piece is a great, great update to that. Totally different outfit, so that's even better. And I don't have the Samurai Armor one yet, but as I understand it, that one's a little easier to track down. So, but I'm happy, really, really happy to have this one, because it was a piece that I think... Maybe I got Leonardo from this line. I didn't really buy much of this era of Turtles. I think I have Leonardo, maybe Raphael. But once I saw that they were making Usagi, that was a must-have. So I'm glad that I finally do have that. Thank you very much, Ryan. And then lastly, we've got, I don't know how to pronounce this person's name. It's an account on YouTube, Egdiro, Egdiroh, but I'm not sure where they're from or even who it actually is, but that's not going to stop me from saying thank you very much. They decided to stop listening to me complain about not being able to find Sludge and Snarl. Sludge here, Snarl here. I had been missing out on completing the Dinobots for a while. I had Grimlock and Swoop and... wait, Snarl, Slag. I had the Triceratops, the Pterodactyl, and Grimlock. And I was missing these two. And I was just like, you know what? I don't even know if they're ever going to show up again. So who cares at this point? And I wasn't even going to bother getting them. And then Igdiro, I don't know how it's pronounced, sent me all in the package. Basically 3 waves of Transformers. Moonracer, Elita 1, all of the Terracons over here, Blot, Ripper Snapper, and the Dinobots. And all I can say is thank you. It is absolutely, without a doubt, the most Transformers in the package, because they all were in the boxes. They came straight from Big Bad Toy Store, I believe, invoices and everything. or receipts, I should say, not invoices. And it's the most in the package Transformers, vintage or modern, that I've ever received at one time. And they are fantastic, and I love them all. Obviously, I haven't put together the combiners yet. I haven't tried out these with the previous combiner pieces that I have. But I will say that by far my two favorites are Blot and Ripper Snapper. These are my preferred modes for them. As far as I'm concerned, if they're not limbs, that's how they're always going to be. Sort of half robot, half monster. That works for me. But that's everything for this week. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for spending a few minutes listening to me talk about all these toys. Hit like, hit subscribe, check out our Patreon if you're in the position to help the channel grow. Thank you very much. Later.